Namaskar. This is your host Sree Iyer, and I am today here with two very, very esteemed guests. Nikunj Trivedi, the president of COHNA, and also the famous author Rajiv Malhotra ji. And Nikunji, Rajiv ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaste, thank you.
Viewers, this is a very serious topic that we're going to talk about today. And first off, this Dismantling Hindutva, this seminar that some people have conjured has some very, very deep ramifications. And till now, it wasn't this publicized. They used to do it here and there and so on. But this time, they're claiming that they have the support or they're sponsored by 45 universities. Guess what? As we started digging more and more, then we started seeing that many universities have started saying that no, we don't officially represent this. It may be some small entity and so on and so forth. So the numbers are beginning to dwindle down. In fact, I saw a tweet today from somebody saying that, well, with Afghan crisis going on, maybe we should push this thing out to Diwali or something like that. But to make sense of all this, to set the stage on this, I would like Nikunj Trivedi, who's been intimately involved in trying to take this thing head on, to kind of set us the stage and what is happening and where things stand. And Rajiv ji, you've also been working on this. You can come in after that, sir. And Nikunj ji, please go ahead.
Great. No, thank you, Sree Iyerji. It's a pleasure to be here amongst the esteemed folks on this particular day. So let's start just quickly. Around August, I would say 14th to 16th, this conference was announced. It's called Dismantling Global Hindutva Conference. That basically claims that it has been sponsored by departments and centers from 45 plus universities. And you can see the panelists on there. And the whole thrust here is that they're trying to say that Hindutva is a toxic ideology that is very similar to white supremacists and this like sort of extremist ideology. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the speakers that you see and the topics that you have are very interesting. They have a topic called propaganda. It's that's propaganda itself, because the idea of this conference and the people associated with the conference are themselves pushing a very anti-Hindu propaganda. So this conference was announced and it started to make rounds within the global Hindu community, and it caused a huge backlash because the way, first of all, if you look at the conference imagery, right, the picture, the flyer of the imagery, you have Hindu figurines that are being plucked out like a bunch of nails, essentially. So it's very toxic imagery. First of all, whether you agree or disagree with a particular movement or particular, whether it's RSS, whoever, you have the right to agree or disagree. But the fact that you're putting out a hammer and a nail, like pulling out figurines, that's a very graphic and gothic sort of like imagery in that sense. It's very gory. That's first thing. But also, if you look at the speakers that are coming to this conference, and we'll talk more about this as we go, I guess, but they have very, very strong anti-Hindu and sort of anti-India stances, and this is like essentially like a stage set to lynch Hindus in India on a stage, essentially. And that is what I think a lot of Hindu community members are really, really upset about. That how can universities lend, as freedom of speech, you have individuals have the right to do whatever. You see white supremacist rallies, you see all these things going on. Nobody stops them. But lending institutional support is where I think a lot of Hindus are very upset. And, the conference organizers are trying to paint all of us as a bunch of Hindu extremists, some BJP IT cell going after them. And that is so not true, because people from all walks of life, different walks of life, whether it's a temple, whether it's a mother or a parent or a student, you name it, they are all extremely upset with the fact that this type of conference is being allowed on 9/11, the worst terrorist attack on American soil. The irony of this whole thing is that these people are South Asian scholars, apparently, right? So Afghanistan and Pakistan are also in South Asia. And that's where the entire the whole crux of the conflict was, right? With Taliban, Al-Qaeda. Shouldn't we be talking about that and what's really going on right now with Afghanistan? But no, these people decided to do it because apparently they want to equate this whole idea of global Hindutva as so insidious that it's like, okay, maybe the next type of 9/11, these crazy Hindu extremists may be doing something like that. That's the kind of picture that they want to paint as far as this conference is concerned.
Thank you, Nikunji. Rajiv ji, I just did my, this is called as Avani Avittam, which is where we go and pray to our ancestors and we changed the jano. I don't know if you wear jano, sir.
Yeah.
You should be wearing jano. Every one of us should be wearing a jano. So in that, my Sanskrit, I read 2 years of Sanskrit in my school, and then it's kind of becoming, it kind of lost touch with it, but now it is all coming back. So when I hear and start making sense of all these mantras, every mantra that we say, here we are saying, Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu, and we do every rishi that has come before, we do tarpan for them, and everywhere we are saying it is for the good of the world. We never say anything, we never pray anything for me or my family or my kutum, none of that stuff. Everything, every puja that I have done, it's always like, for the better of the whole world. And yet these people somehow has this image that Hindutva is communal, and that it's something that is totally different from what it intends to do. Is it ignorance or is it deliberate? What are your thoughts, sir?
Okay, wonderful. Glad to be here on the show. Thank you for having me. So I've been into this for like 30 years now, and this is nothing new. And I've seen a lot of these before. I've seen even worse ones. The South Asian studies, I profiled them as Hinduphobia. I profiled them as Breaking India. It used to be mainly white Western scholars doing this. And Indians were very few in those days in the academy in the United States. There were some, but it was led by white scholars. Then I took them on, and we had a very successful battle with the Hinduphobic and Breaking India forces that were mainly white scholars in the US and European Academy. And for many years, they actually backed off. We had a period during which all these people were on the back foot. They didn't want to mess with it. Because we brought them down. Their scholarship was flawed. But then they discovered the Indian left as a kind of ally. This became a new thing. The Westerners brought knowledge of Sanskrit, and because they did study Sanskrit very hard, the Indian left did not study Sanskrit. And the Westerners had studied religious studies, Hinduism as a topic, whereas in India it's not taught. Religious studies is not taught. So the West brought this knowledge from a European point of view, from a Western point of view, from a kind of biased point of view in that sense. They brought rigorous knowledge about Indian tradition, Sanskrit and so on. And the Indians brought the political doctrine that this whole the politics of Dalits and minorities and Maoists and whatnot. So there was a marriage to hit back at me and to respond. And so what happened is they cross-fertilized. Lot of the leftist organizations and universities in India sent students for PhDs to the United States, various centers, and then these people got weaponized. Either they came for a PhD after an MA in India, or they came for postdoc, and they got weaponized to use sophisticated Sanskrit arguments against India in a very political way. So this started a new era where Indians became the sepoys working for the Westerners. The Indians became the sepoys reporting to the Westerners because they could fly them, they could give them first class treatment, and all these Indians, begging bowl. Okay, these guys are very superior and they look after us. And Indians have been for sale. And actually the price is also very low. I used to tell them that if you want to sell out, at least keep the dignity of India by asking for a good price, and don't sell out so cheap. Generally a business class fare and a little bit of celebrity treatment makes them into lifelong chamchas and sepoys. They'll go running around doing anything. The other attraction was that the Westerners could bring them theories, which the Indians didn't have. All this postmodernism, post-colonial studies, subaltern studies. These are all theories developed in the West, and Indians imported it. And then they could show off that I know all this, which other Indians don't know, but I know all this. So the Indian left became like the franchisees. They became the franchisees, bringing Western theories and distributing them, disseminating them in the Indian public and university system. So this kind of alliance you need to understand. And the basic fodder is Hinduism, Hindus. go after them and go after their gurus, go after their deities, go after their Shastra, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Everything is free play. Everything is available. Go after any civic organization, whoever resists, whoever stands up, bring him down. And it's very brutal and very ruthless. And I know this from personal experience because I've faced the brunt of it. I've been all alone in most cases all these years, going in harm's way, going in the line of fire and taking them on. So this is not anything new, but it's getting worse. It's getting worse because now there's a very large number of Indians in the faculties of South Asian studies, and they are very rabid. Plus, they're connected. They're not only connected in the entire university system in the US and Europe, but they're also connected with their kind of part of their cabal that is India-based. Part of this cabal is based in various universities, and part of it is in India. So there's a whole camaraderie. All these comrades, they work together. Now, this is one of the major highlight events, but such things have been going on for a long time. There is there's annual South Asian Studies Conference in Michigan and one in Berkeley. And if you look at the proceedings for the last 20, 30 years, I've collected all of them. It's full of such papers, full of these kind of things. The target is the claim that women are abused, minorities are abused. There is Brahmanism, hegemony, Dalits are abused, Muslims are abused, Christians are abused, all kind of things. Anybody they can get hold of is a victim, and the perpetrator is the nation of India, and particularly its Vedic civilization. So this is a kind of a background you have to understand. And as far as this particular event is concerned, I think the mistake they made, which they're now realizing that it's on the record, there are screenshots, and they're trying to back out of it. The mistake they made is they got so cocky and so arrogant that they decided that, the Hindus are easy target, nobody's going to bother. So they started making claims that were ridiculous and claiming that university as institution has supported them. And they named all these 40 universities, put their logos on it and whatnot. And that's simply not true. Stanford put out a notice today, last night, that basically said they disowned this conference, which according to the poster, they're one of the co-sponsors, and they said that it is a misuse of their name and logo. Now, individual can do anything. You can't stop an individual. There is freedom of speech. There is political freedom. Corporate America, and also I'm sure in India, corporate policy is that who you vote for, what your politics is, none of our business. But don't drag the company name into it. If you're working for a big corporation, you can vote for anything, any crazy politician. It's your freedom, to support whoever they want to. But don't say that I'm representing Microsoft or IBM or whoever. You can't do that. Then you're bringing them into it, and that's not allowed. Same is true for universities, and these guys ought to know that. So what has happened is Stanford took the lead in disowning that this conference claiming to be, sponsored by or by Stanford is just not true. And of course, in their individual capacity, these scholars can do it if they want. Nobody can stop them. Now I think there is going to be a domino effect. That university after university will say, okay, we as a university are not doing it. The administration is not involved in it. I've talked to a couple of university presidents, in fact, today, and I don't want to name them because the matter is still sensitive. And they want to. One of them said, "I want to inquire who gave them permission because I'm the president. I never gave them permission. How did they use our name and our logo? If they wanted to do it as some 2-3 people in a department, that's their choice. We can't stop it. But to put our name, big time, logo, and say that we co-sponsored it. This president said, I have not co-sponsored anything. I never signed off. I don't even know about it. I only heard about it a week ago. So I think they have this, they're back retracting a little bit. They're trying to minimize, they're trying to do damage control. So they're trying to say, they're trying to gradually, downgrade the claim that 40 universities have sponsored it. But in a sense, it's too late. The embarrassment is certainly there. And the other interesting thing is that now they're trying to chicken out of anybody in these 40 universities naming themselves, speaking out and say, okay, I'm the sponsor. Even at the individual level, who are these individuals in the 40 universities? You would think that there would be a whole roster of them. So this is all very politics. Second point I want to make is that trying to confuse between Hindutva and Hinduism, and some of them like Anant Anand Rambachan saying that, oh, we are attacking Hindutva, we're not attacking Hinduism, so it's not about religion. Well, come on. Everybody knows that in the name of attacking Hindutva, what are they attacking? They're attacking all the things concerning Hindu Dharma. So this business of hiding behind this claim of dichotomy between Hindu Dharma and Hindutva is just a ploy to kind of, it's a fig leaf to try and protect themselves. So this is something our people are uniting. Hindus have never been so united in recent times. This has galvanized Hindus to unite. So in a sense, they've done a favor. And many organizations, Nikunj's organizations, some other organizations that have been out there giving petitions and so on, were never working together. But even though they're not united as organizations to work together, the point is that the ideology is unified. And and Nikunj has done a lot of the original research on this whole matter. He's put out his findings, and many other organizations have echoed it, copied that stuff and put it out on their own name. So Hindus are now more woken up, ticked off in a big way, and there's a rallying cry to wake up, and there's a rally to mobilize, and Hindus are responding. So this is, in that sense, a significant thing. I do want to say that there's absolutely nothing wrong if some scholar wants to write a book and this book is full of nonsense. They have a right to write it. And our people can trash it, respond to it, and write their own book. This is how it works, Academic freedom is a good thing, but academic freedom cannot be one-sided. What they cannot do is represent one point of view, use supposedly the authority of some prestigious universities, and deny us the right to respond. I mean, it would be different if they were really honest. They would say, we're going to have this event. There'll be 3 speakers from our side. We're going to invite the 3 speakers from the opposing side. We'll have a debate. That would be fantastic. I think, they should throw out whatever stuff they're wanting to throw out against Hindus, but then give the Hindus the right to respond and be there. That would be civilized debate. That would be really intellectual stuff. It would be honest, but they're not doing that. So I'll stop there, and we'll continue this discussion, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, Rajiv ji. Nikunj, I have seen that you have been at the forefront of putting up a very stout defense, as well as trying to start questioning the motives and how they went about doing this thing. I've also heard about the University of California system backing out. I'm not 100% sure. Perhaps to whatever you are sure of, the list of universities that have come out and said that we are not part of this, maybe if you can recount that'll be great. And the other thing I'd request you to do, and Rajivji, you too, after Nikunj's response, is, see, there are a lot of high net worth individuals of Indian American origin who donate millions of dollars to some of these universities. We need to tell them that this is how your dollars are being spent. And they need to understand that, being Hindus, and then they are actually, giving money to have somebody say that you have a big problem in your religion. So this is something that will come in a little bit of time. Nikunj, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't have the full list, but I know Dalhousie University, for example, have categorically said that we have nothing to do with this. You need to. We have contacted the organizers. I believe UMass has also, UMass Boston also said something like that. That we're looking to see how this was being used. University of I think San Diego, University of California, San Diego, UCSD, has also said the same thing. So there are many different groups, different universities that are coming out. And I think this is, like, as you mentioned, I think what has happened is, in a way, we should be thanking the organizers, because this has united the Hindu community. People who are, and they have been labeled as, quote unquote, Hindutva. They're not. These are diverse group of Hindu Indian organizations, temples, spiritual groups, many people who have genuine concerns here, and the whole idea is that, as Rajiv ji said, that what these folks are doing is they are basically saying that we can say what we want to say. Hindus don't have a right to respond, and Hindus have, when they respond, they are a bunch of Hindutva people. Okay, that's basically the line of argument. It's a trope to silence Hindu voices, to gag us, essentially. So now universities are taking that into consideration, and I can tell you there are certain people who have never spoken before. Now they're going and having a conversation with universities, and at a very high level. Like Rajivji said, he spoke with a couple of university presidents who had no clue. There are regents, there are board of governors that are being spoken with, and you'll see the response coming out slowly, because this has galvanized the Hindu community that this is just not acceptable. It's the future. It's for the future of our kids, right? These universities were paying them millions and millions of dollars in admission, in donations, and things like that. To turn around and endorsing something like this is completely unacceptable. Now, the point that you raised earlier about what about millions of dollars, the donors that are people even on the boards of these universities who are Indian. I have 2 points there. There are good people, don't get me wrong, but I'll give you one anecdotal point about one particular board of governor person that we spoke to, and I'm not going to name a university. You know what he said? He said that I don't really care. We are the ones who make the decisions, and students are not going to be making the decisions. So student voices don't really matter. This is an Indian person who's on the board of governors of a really large university, let's just say, and he basically said that. Okay, so this is the type of, and the second group, and as Rajivji and I were talking a couple of days ago, also, you have these donors. They are basically there for their own purposes. They don't really care about what goes on with the Indian community. They just want their name out there. So and so foundation sponsored this, or so and so is on the board of this. You have that group, and that's the bigger group, and that's a major problem for us. So the community needs to do some soul searching and say, why do we have these people who are basically not able to stand up? And then you have some chaplains. Unfortunately, you also have chaplains on campuses who are on the payroll of these universities. And when it comes to protecting Hindu interests or advocating for Hindus, they're just completely silent. The ones that do speak, they are silenced. They are forced to apologize. So naturally, anybody else will completely remain silent because they don't want to be a public spectacle, right? But this specter of Hindutva is used against every single person, whether you're a student, whether you are a community member, a faculty member. If you're a professor, this is used against you. If you're a chaplain, it's used against you. That's how these folks operate, right? So Professor Trashki and the whole team, the South Asia Scholar Activist Collective, SASAC, has created a Hindutva harassment manual, right? And we have given a response to that on our website. The whole manual basically says there is no such thing as Hinduphobia. This word Hinduphobia has been coined by the Hindu right wing, and it's a smokescreen for Islamophobia and caste oppression. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that they talk about. So they deny the fact that atrocities against Hindus have happened, that Hindus do face discrimination, and they have no legitimate voice, essentially. So this is the situation that we face. And it's very important for the community to understand that these are the people who are in different South Asian studies department. As Rajivji said, you only have one or two people perhaps who are very vocal, but then you have people who are the chairs of these South Asian departments who are essentially in bed with some of these so-called scholars. So what they do is they openly endorse. Like the Rutgers University History Department continues to go out and actually tweet everything that Professor Trashki says, supports them and things like that, but never has taken any Hindu students or any Hindu community members' interest into consideration, saying that maybe there is a problem here. The fact that she says that Sri Rama is a misogynistic pig, or some of these conference organizers who have said horrible things about Sri Rama, Sita Devi, things like that. It's all available. That's the research that we ended up doing and digging out the links and connections of what these people have said. When you call for erasure of Hinduism, destruction of Hinduism, calling out deities, very, very profane names, and then you turn around and say that, Hinduphobia doesn't exist, that's like the height of, hypocrisy, essentially.
Nikunj, you made a lot of valid points, and I'll get back to you in a minute. What I'd like you to do is, after I talk with Rajivji, perhaps we can come up with a call to action, because you have done a lot of work, and I know you are busy as heck, because it took us 5-6 days to put this thing together. And I just want to see if we can lighten your load. And yes. I know you've got a petition going, change.org.
Not change.org.
Okay,
we'll talk more about that.
Yeah. So just get that thing ready for the back burner, because I want to talk to Rajivji about a very interesting thing that you brought up. Rajivji, we have freedom of speech in the United States. It's one of probably the most liberal countries in terms of what kind of freedom an individual has for saying whatever they want. Now, there is a problem with saying dismantling Hindutva. That you can easily say that is essentially an intent to destroy a religion. Is this grounds for this particular conference to be banned? What are your thoughts?
Sure. This thing is that in the name of freedom of speech, you cannot have hate speech. There are laws against hate speech. There are laws against, religious discrimination. There are laws against defamation. So there are laws, but to take legal action, you got to organize a legal team. Our problem is, Sree, that we do not have a sitting army, a standing army. We get organized for one event, one episode, reactive. We're not proactive. We are not taking the offensive. We're not doing that. We are waiting for them to attack. Then we get everybody together and try to defend best as we can, and then we dismantle. So after this particular episode is over, everybody goes back and until the next event, then we try to get people together again. You need you cannot have it like that. You need a standing organization which is always in the proactive, and it has to have some, not only PR, a lot of good strong PR, but it also has to have legal. It has to have a political muscle with political lobbying. It has to have a roster of who are the top donors by university. It has to be researching what's the dirty linen on every one of those scholars. I used to try and do all of that single-handedly like 25, 30 years ago. And then I got tired. I cannot keep up with it because the volume is very large. You cannot do it. But you need a little think tank which is tracking these scholars and giving them responses, coming up with point-by-point rebuttals. So whenever they organize, you are ready to go. And so legal defense is one part of it. Bringing them shame in front of the students, in front of the parents of the students, in front of the donors is very important. But the sad thing is, a place like Rutgers got 5,000 Indian students. 5,000. It's the largest ethnic group there. But only a small handful will show up if you want to take action. Where are the rest of them? I mean, they're doing engineering and they're doing medicine and all that good stuff, but they're Hindus. Private life of theirs Hindu very much, but they're not going to stick their neck out. So while in Muslim case there may be fewer Muslims in a university than Hindus, but they're much more organized. Plus the faculty support is very important. You need faculty on your side, because faculty is secure, they're permanent. The students are very fragile. They don't know what, the faculty, one of the reasons there is Hinduphobia is there are faculty members who are Hinduphobic. And as students come batch after batch, they brainwash them. Within a few years on campus, the undergraduate is brainwashed. By the time he graduates, he's already negative towards his own culture. So we have to look at these systemic issues. We cannot sort of surgically attack and every time something happens, attack and expect it to go away, and then we go back to sleep. So for 25, 30 years, I've been trying to build that there needs to be a coalition. Gurus need to be involved. Gurus need to be involved in this. Ministry of Culture needs to be involved, because after all, there is India has this Indian Council of Cultural Relations, ICCR. They're part of the Ministry of External Affairs. Their job is the international projection and protection of Indian culture. Sahasra Buddhe is the head of that, and he's a minister level in India. I mean, they have to speak up. So all these big organizations with legitimacy, with deep pockets, with funding, with the representatives in the United States, they need to stand up and speak. It should not be three individuals like us. We don't have official standing. If somebody were to say, Sree, who are you? Rajiv, who are you? You're just an individual. How do you speak for Hinduism? Who are you? Are you a certified representative of some kind? You're not. So the people who are adhikaris, official, are not honoring that job. They're not honoring their responsibility to speak for the tradition while they do have the adhikar. And the people who are speaking up do not have the official adhikar. This is very strange.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm going to try and see if I can get more people, especially from Indian side, to try and weigh in on this, because you've touched upon a very, very important part, Rajiv ji. So I'm going to do my best to try and do that. And Nikunj ji, so you've been in touch with how many of these 45 universities? What kind of help do you need? Because clearly COHNA, Kona, has taken the lead. And I'd like to make sure that since we are all putting up this united front, and you've done a lot of the basic initial work, let's see how best we can, together as a community, can help you. Certainly, PGurus and Rajiv ji's webcasts have a very wide following, and we continue to get views even after weeks of going live. So, Nikunji, just go ahead and please tell us how many universities have been contacted, what kind of work still remains to be done. We have about 15 days left before this event starts. What else can we do to at least first raise the awareness? That is the first thing that we need to start at. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And first of all, I would say that the credit is not ours. There are a lot of Hindu organizations, Indian organizations, small and big, are working on this. So there is a broader effort. So certainly, while we're leading some of the things, I wouldn't take all the credit for it because that's not fair to anybody else. So having said that, what are some of the things that are going on? We have launched a sort of an email campaign. You can go to kona.org/dismantle Hindutva. You can just go to kona.org. And there's on the top, there's a campaign called Dismantle Hinduphobia. My apologies. Dismantle Hinduphobia. And you'll click on it and it'll let you send an email to various universities. So far, we've been sending emails to different universities. We are also we're coaching different organizations who don't know the background, giving them the background and saying, okay, go and talk to this university. So for example, in Michigan or in Maryland or in Virginia or in California, different places, you have people who are connected to the university, either they're faculty or either they are donors. They are having individual conversations with those universities and saying, this is not acceptable. So our job is to provide them the framework, which we have done, the research, which is available on the website. We have also created a small infographic that shows exactly what the problems are, the very, very anti-Hindu views of some of these speakers. So that needs to be taken to every university and have a conversation cordially, sort of like professionally, not yelling and screaming, but just having a good conversation saying, these are the things that we're concerned about as a Hindu community. We pay taxes here. We also send our kids to these universities. So you need to do that. The second thing people need to do is, essentially question the South Asian departments if they have connections. That how do you allow this, right? If somebody was blatantly Islamophobic by saying certain things about, the religion itself, that would not be acceptable, and rightly so. Same thing with anti-Semitic comments. So why is it acceptable for such blatant Hinduphobia? So we urge everybody to go to the website, take a look at it. You can join our campaign. You can contribute in your individual capacity or as an organization, join hands. We are also doing various types of letter writings. There are petitions going on. Unfortunately, change.org petition that has been out there is not a good petition. So I would recommend that we don't use it because it's going to President Biden and Modi. Okay, and it has 2 links on it. Unfortunately, as harsh as this seems, that's not going to work. It's a wasted effort. There's 15,000 signatures on there. It's gonna do nothing. Okay. Instead, use one of the organization's letters that have been going out there. That is much more effective because it lays out the issues that we face. So you don't have to use Kona's information. Just use any of the organizations that are out there. But the point is, focus on that. Focus on individual conversations with the universities. Go and have a conversation with them. Meet with them. Because event organizers are not revealing their identity, of course, for various reasons. In fact, just so you know, their website is right now, quote unquote, under maintenance because they're seeing a lot of pushback from the Hindu community. So I'm assuming they're changing the logos and changing the whole thing. But again, that's an assumption. Bottom line is there's resources available. You can go there. We also want more and more people to share that information on social media so that a lot more people are aware. And this should not be the only time we get together. This should be the beginning of a more long-term concentrated effort. As Rajiv ji said, people come together for a reason, create a WhatsApp group, and then go, when it's all done, it's all disbanded and go to sleep. No, it's time for us to do more proactive, more sustained strategy to ensure that our culture and our heritage is protected and our narrative, more importantly, is protected. Everybody has their own narrative. But we cannot let other people set our narrative, because if you do that, most likely they're not putting a good narrative out there. We're seeing this in caste legislations, whether it's in California and different places. This is going to start coming up in fall. We are seeing on campuses, kids are being portrayed as Hindutva just because of the fact that they're talking about Hindu human rights or Bangladeshi genocide or, Kashmir or different things. They're being portrayed as that. Every time there's a discussion about India, you have to pick a side. You have to be pro them and anti-India in that sense, right? That is not acceptable. Those things, there should be freedom of speech and debate and things like that. But our kids are being silenced. So what we need to do is come together and have a sustained strategy to ensure that our narrative is protected.
Thank you, Nikunji. Rajivji, you are really the sort of tip of the spear here, because you've faced the brunt of this for the longest amount of time. I mean, probably Nikunj was still in his diapers when you started fighting this stuff. And I'm a newbie, absolute newbie. And I jump into some issues because I think that is the right thing to do and take up the fight. Rajivji, here you've been through this where you will address a group and then everybody gets fired up, and then after a week everything just falls away. How do we make sure that everyone stays connected? And I know you've on your own in your own individual capacity, you've been talking to some presidents of different universities. How do we crack this thing? How is it that the other guys are so well networked? Is it like from the very young age these kids are taught that these are bad, these are good, this is what you have to do? What exactly is it that works for them that is not working for us as parents? I'm trying to think more like, at least let me start today to make sure my kids are grown, yours are too, but at least we can make sure that our grandchildren can be taught the right things right from the beginning. I'm just curious about your thoughts.
So, one is the problem at the institution level. I mean, I would like to know, why is BAPS, Swaminarayan people, Sree Ravi Shankar's people, the Satguru people, these are multi-million-dollar multinationals. They're huge organizations, They got tens of millions of dollars of revenue, and they're on the world stage, supposedly protecting Dharma and projecting Dharma and all that. They cannot just be goody-goody, teach you meditation and teach you this, that, and not protect when the attack comes. So one is, I think the call to action would be, whoever is your guru, whichever is the temple you go to, whichever is the Hindu organization you go to, you must go and meet the top people, senior people, and say, why aren't you out there? We still have 15 days. Why don't you stick your neck out? Why don't you come on PGurus or come on this channel or that channel and speak your mind? It would be very important if, let's say, 4, 5, 6 major Hindu organizations in North America, their top people came out and spoke in a forum like this. It would change. They would be noticed. Then the second is this whole Sangh Parivar. The Sangh Parivar enjoys so much clout, and they have so much prestige in India, so much power. And now, why is it that those leaders, many of them have got all these awards and they're great? They got Padma Vibhushan Award last year, some people, and many highly celebrated leaders of the Sangh Parivar in the United States are not coming out when the going is tough. They are there to do ribbon cutting and get all the credit and all that for being there. But when there's a firing going on, when the firing is going on in the battlefield, the generals cannot be sitting back in the VIP lounge and telling other people to go out and fight. They're very good at telling me, Nikunj, other people, okay, shabash, bahut acha tum kar rahe ho, keep fighting. But when you tell them, acha, you should also come, they'll give you reason here, there, why they cannot come. So that's a second group. That is, these are existing institutions. Yes, we should create new ones and bring them together. But these institutions got clout, they got money, they have authority, they have an organization structure, management structure. Then you look at Indian embassy. If this happened against Jewish Israeli stuff, the Israeli people will organize some counter movement. So why is it that Indian culture, Hindu culture is a soft target? There's no big clout in institution that is speaking up and wanting to defend ourselves. So you see, the kids are left to themselves. Now we are saying that you kids should go and it's like the Afghani army was deserted by the US. And then we are blaming why did they run away? Because they were being supported by they were promised support by U.S. Army, U.S. military, and even air support was withdrawn. So all these guys are scared. They ran away. This is same kind of a thing psychologically, emotionally, the same kind of thing. A small campus group of Hindus here, there, don't have the savvy. They don't have the depth. They don't have the emotional security. They don't have the mentors. And so to say that, okay, you young kids go stand up and fight for us is very shameful. Where are the Hindu faculties who are on campus? You take a place like Rutgers, besides 5,000 Hindu students, there are several hundred Hindu faculties on campus in various departments. They can organize. They can get together and say, they can put a counter voice and they are tenured. You can't say they'll be get fired. They are tenured people. They can speak up, but they don't speak up. So there is something wrong with the institutions that have the clout. They have nothing to lose. They ought to be talking. So I would say that the public should take this on. Public should talk to their gurus. They should talk to the Sangh Parivar. If you are in a Sangh Parivar organization, if you know faculty people, you should go talk to them. Why aren't you guys doing something? I mean, we ought to hold in forums like this. We ought to bring leaders together who are silent and not doing anything, and hold them accountable and say, why are you not doing anything? Now is the time to do it. Next 15 days is the time to call Chinmay Mission. See, why? Call Ramakrishna Mission. Call all these guys. Why are you not able to write letters on your letterhead? Why are you not able to pick up the phone and call these guys? Why not? You are the clergy. You have a lot of adhikar. You can go and say, okay, I'll speak for Hinduism. Who are you to educate us on Hinduism? I'll tell you what the facts are. They have to come and do all this. So we as Hindus, bottom line is, we do not have our act together.
Absolutely, and it's my hope that I'm going to try and bring some people to PGurus platform in the next few days to try and get this point and keep at it. Last week, Nikunj and Rajivji, I was in Kauai, and I go to the Kauai Island mainly because of the temple there, the Iraivan temple there.
Nice.
It's grown so much now. I mean, 5 years ago when I went, I was probably 1 or 2, 3 families. This time I couldn't get parking. It was that crowded. And it was raining cats and dogs. You know, it rains in Kauai. This is very close to that wettest place in the whole world. It rains. When it rains cats and dogs. I mean, and it was very good to see that. I'm hoping to enlist their support. I'm hoping to have one of their representatives come on PGurus and explain what they view, how they view this conference and what Hinduism stands for. Because they do a lot of things right, Rajivji, Nikunji. I went 2 days this time, vacation, but I went 2 days to just look and get the feel for what they were doing. Beautifully done, perfect Agama Sastras, the way the temple was built, and so on and so forth. So the point I'm trying to make is, I am doing a little bit in this way, trying to get people to be aware of what is going on. Certainly in WhatsApp, a lot of things are going on, but it's not enough. It is not enough. Hindus must speak as one voice. This is essentially an attack. And there, if you think that this is bad, just think about what is happening back home. For 20-25 years, they've been chipping away at the coastal districts in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, and they've made a lot of inroads. And I just shudder when I feel like, just one time we are feeling so upset. If these people are getting barraged by this kind of stuff, it is going to move. So my hope after, dear viewer, after you watch this, is please act. Do go to kona.org, do sign that petition. And if you have any questions, I'm sure there's a way that you can reach out to Nikunj. Nikunj, if you don't mind, can I put your email address so that in the show?
Yeah, it's info@kona.org. You could put that. Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. So that if you have any specific questions, feel free to ask. Now, because my kids went to, undergrad schools in California, I do get these calls every year. How much can you donate for this? And I'm going to make sure that, these people, 2 years ago, I blew them away when University of Irvine canceled the DCF chair for, Indic studies. And I told them, this is not on. How can you do this? So then the guy just stopped, because that kid doesn't have any clue of what it was. But I was hoping that he'll make some notes saying that this particular donor is very upset that I did this. So let's hope that something like that happens. So thank you very much, Rajiv ji. Thank you very much, Nikunj ji. Both of you are very, very busy, and all the best. And I hope that we will have another discussion very soon, maybe after this event, to just try and see how things went, perhaps, and hopefully we have made a big step forward in trying to work towards the renaissance of Sanatana Dharma. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you.